Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is a Cat's Hit the Deck review. This is going to be my last review for a little while because I have two more decks. I've got the Starseed Oracle and the Wild Unknown Archetypes, and those are my newest decks, and I feel like I haven't used them enough to the point where I feel comfortable reviewing them and talking about how they're used. I want to. Most of these decks that I've reviewed, I've had for well over a year already. This is one of my slightly newer ones. I believe I got this earlier this year, but I've used it a fair amount that I feel comfortable reviewing it. So there's going to be a little gap, and then when I get more cards in, or if I finish one of the decks that I started working on, then I'll have some more reviews. I don't think people are that excited about these reviews that they're going to be clamoring for more. As is, this is, I think, the 22nd, so there's some in there. So this is Elemental Hexagons. I believe it's a privately published, self-published perhaps, deck, and I don't remember where I saw it originally. I saw somebody using it, or I was looking something up and I happened to see pictures of it online. I think I heard about it from a video of someone else's tarot, but I don't remember where. But I decided that I had to have it, and I looked for it, and then I didn't have the money for a while, and then I wasn't sure if it was safe to purchase from a site that didn't seem to have a lot of activity on it, but I went ahead and it was fine. So it's Elemental Hexagons. I can get this focused on here. So it's by Calxya Omphalos, and it, as you can see, they made it in 2007. It's got this really nice fitted hexagonal box. It's really smooth manufacturing, just like you'd get from a big publisher. And I know that they offer these kinds of, I think they offer hex cards with nice boxes like this if you go to one of those self-publishing websites like MPC, or I can't remember the other one that people use. I think it begins with a P. But so they're available, but I mean, if you want some, you'd have to buy a whole bunch of them and then have them on hand and sell them yourself or whatever. But I went ahead, I found the website, I found the click to buy link, and I wasn't sure if it would still work, but I got a little lump sum, so I took my $50 or whatever it was, and I bought them. And you might be like, wow, that seems kind of expensive for 60 cards. But for some reason, the minimum purchase is 3 decks. And I wasn't sure if it was going to be like 3 mini decks that make up one big one, but they are all 3 the same. And I'm not mad. I don't mind, because I know that people that make things themselves, it's hard to recoup money, and I'm just assuming that they couldn't afford to ship a single deck at a time. Like, they need to make some money. And I was like, well, $50 for 3 decks. That's fine. If I break one, I'll still have one. So I got 3 of them. This is my backup deck. It's pristine and not used, and I'm saving this in case this gets destroyed, for a rainy day. And I gave the 3rd one away to a friend of mine who also reads tarot, because I thought it might gel with her methods. And I wanted to make sure that I gave the 3rd extra deck to somebody that was really gonna benefit from it and get something out of it. So so I paid the $50. I got I think it was about 50, and I got the 3 decks, and then I paid it forward to somebody else that I thought would really need it. When I waited, I was like, oh, who am I going to give it to? Who am I going to give it to? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put them in a drawer. And then a few months later, I was like, yes, this is the right time. So I have my spare, and I have my working deck here. and it can take a little bit of muscle to get it open in the first place. It's very tightly fit, but that means that it's not going to fall open and they're not going to spill everywhere. So we've got this little lovely, fully lined, really rugged little box. They're not huge. They're just sort of smallish, average-ish size. I would say they're about as wide as a Hay House deck card, but they're a bigger rectangle, so they're not enormous, but they're a good size for anybody to shuffle. So it comes with this pamphlet that has, because you know how some decks come with a pamphlet, but it folds out. It's got writing on both sides. It's got a little periodic table to tell you which elements are in use. It has the website where you can get them, and I believe, and they have, since the original printing, changed their website a little bit, so you can see that it's there. And I've got it posted in the description box with the description of where I got it, in case people are looking for it. So if this website is still valid, I believe I paid with PayPal, but it's however. So as of earlier this year, you could still get it from the website of the creator. So we have the information about the deck, a little reading layout, little blurb for each card, and then they're sort of broken down into suits, which is, where's that? Where is it? Oh, they're over here. Okay. So there's 60 cards. It's broken down into 4 suits of 15 cards each. So there's one that's just periodic table, there's one called Physical World, there's one called Metaphysical World, and there's one called Name of the Pharaoh. So these cards have, some of them are, if I can stop crinkling this paper, some of them are set up with Egyptian gods and symbolism. Some of them are aligned to the major arcana in tarot, and then there's some other things too. So within each suit of 15 cards, there's 3 sets of 5. So this is the pull ribbon. Mine's a little burnt on the end as I singed it, so it would stop unraveling. It's a really nice little gold ribbon. It's pretty. So they just pop right out. You can see it's a little scuffed for me stuffing them back in there. It's a pretty tight fit. And I like how I just made it easy. But if you've been shuffling them and you go to stick them in individually, it can be a little bit challenging, but you just have to work them in a little bit at a time and press them down in there, and it should be good. And then, you know, they're pretty tight in there. They don't really fall out. It's a fairly thin cardstock, but they do have sort of a matte, or I mean like a luster finish, so they're not real glossy, but they're protected. So because of the hexagonal shape, the corners tend to get a little busted, especially pushing them in and out of the box, which is why it's nice to have a spare deck. But all in all, they're very nice, they're beautiful, and I'll show you the fronts in a second. So we have this nice little box here. Your little ASMR, the air pushing out of the box. Okay. Alright, so I put these in kind of a random order of suits, but hopefully they'll still... I think I got these kind of twisted. Hold on. This is going to drive me insane. I had them all nice, and now they're all messed up. Okay, I think it was only these last few cards. Good, okay. So they're listed in... They're, like, strung in order from lowest to highest of the proton number, but mine are not in complete order right now because I put them by the suits. So the suits and the numbers of protons don't go together. They're sort of grouped. But if you think about it, noble gases are grouped, right? So you have 2 and then 10 and then 18 and then 24, 36. Should be 44, but whatever. It's like goes up by the number in the electron shell. So maybe it's 8 and then it's like 12 and then 16, but I don't remember. It's been like 20 years since I had chemistry. 22, whatever, it's been a while. So I started out here with periodic table. So the first section is semi-metals, and this I don't always read the little suits when I'm reading these, because I don't want to like obfuscate the reading too much. So we have boron here. It says order and chaos, coincidence, and it's related to the Wheel of Fortune, which is 10 in the regular tarot. So we have an old rusty train here. 14, silicon, also semi-metal, periodic table. So we have network or matrix. This little silicon chip here. So these are like photos, but sometimes they're digital images, digital renderings, or photoshopped images. So here's one that's photoshopped. So we have germanium. We have a little chessboard in the water with the Neptune symbol. It says disagreement. It's also semi-metal. And then we have arsenic, 33, a semi-metal. It says ancient witch power, and they're relating it to the high priestess. Number 2 in the major arcana. So we have antimony, semi-metal, ancient knowledge. The Egyptians used a lot of antimony for stuff. So now we have royal metals. These are ones that typically you won't find being rusty. So we have copper, number 29, a conductor. We have Horus and Venus energy, and then it's equated to the Hierophant, number 5. So royal metal silver, we have moon goddess Isis, and we're relating it to the moon card, number 18 in major arcana. And then we have palladium. This one of those, I think palladium is one of those metals that's found in the brain, like a platinum group metal. So we have Mott and Sekhmet. So we have truth and strength, basically. Periodic table, royal elements. And then we have Ta, the opener of ways, with platinum. It's another one of those platinum group metals, 78. And then we have gold, sun energy, Osiris, and Ra, and it's related to the sun card. That's also a royal metal. Okay. So we're still in the periodic table, and now we're in the third group. We've got noble gases. So we have helium. It says flight to safety, and it's the Fool card. That's really funny that there's a Zeppelin on here, because when I was thinking, like, I don't remember lead being that high up in number, and I was like, oh, it's a heavy metal, and I was like, Led Zeppelin, oh. But anyway, here we have flight to safety, the Fool, or the noble gases. Helium. And then neon, number 10. So we have messenger or sign. Argon. I was going to make a joke, but all the good ones are gone. We have 18. Completion. So we have the world here. And the noble gases. We have krypton. It's actually a real thing that exists. I remember reading in the thing that this island is intentionally shaped like a man. Like a dead body, because it's supposed to be toxic, at least to Superman. So you have hidden weakness, right? Krypton is his hidden weakness. And also, apparently, twinks now. So you have periodic table, noble gases. 36. So we have 54. We have xenon, stranger, light, or empathy. The little kid reaching out. Xenon. Okay, so now we're in this other section, this other suit. So I also don't want people to think I'm like anti-gay because I made a joke about Superman being bisexual now, because I too am bisexual, so I can make that joke. So we have, where am I going here? I'm just trying to get this in focus because I'm holding it weird. So we're in the name of the pharaoh, and I don't remember what that means, because it's not intuitive as to what it means. So name of the pharaoh. Practice of ancient Egyptian inscriptions to follow the name of the pharaoh with 3 additional glyphs: life, strength, and health. The life group, okay. So this is sort of like blessings on your name. All right. So we have lithium. Emotional stability, and it's being related to justice as number 11. Emotional stability. Health. There's a health section. Emotional stability. Okay, and then in health we have sodium, 11, all things in moderation. So we have temperance, which is a balancing. Salty. What I love about this card is this friggin', look at this mummy wrapping. It's done in a square. Like, how skilled. Skills for days on this mummy wrapping. I'd like to see that kind of mummy wrapping in a movie. So that would be epic. And then, like, you take it off and there's, like, these, like, gross square, like, lines all over the face. And then it, like, comes out, like, imagine, like, your face, like, broken into all these little squares and, like, coming out in stacks, like a ribbon. That would be awesome. Okay, so temperance, also under this health. And then we have selenium, thyroid and growth. So we have a little thyroid cell slide here, and measured progress. 34. Iodine, also health. We know what that's for. Remember, if you're old enough, you might remember mercurochrome, but I don't know how many people remember methylate, because that was like the same kind of stuff. And they used to have these little sticks with a glass ball on the end, like glass dropper for the iodine, which worked amazingly. And then they changed the iodine, made it decolorized, and they put this stick in there that was plastic that had 2 little prongs on the end that did not work as well as the glass dropper, and it just downhill from there. All right, so we have the little caduceus over here with the medical cross. So medical profession, iodine. All right. What's this? It's none of your bismuth. So we have inner peace. This is funny that normally it says inner peace, but it's focusing on this chunky Buddha, because you think of Pepto-Bismol, right, for your tum-tum. Bismuth liquid. So if your stomach's a rumbly and you take the bismuth, then you will have inner peace. 83. That's hilarious. I haven't gotten that card that much using this deck. Okay, so now we've moved on from health to life. So we have carbon, the backbone of life on the Earth's carbon-based life forms. So this is a DNA. A DNA model. You know those little, like, balls and sticks that you join together? I love doing those in chemistry. That's my favorite thing, was playing with those things. And they have, like, springs for the ones that aren't, like, a solid join. It's awesome. I love making those models. Somebody went whole hog and made a friggin' giant DNA one, so we see all, like, the carbon and hydrogen and whatever in there. So carbon, number 6, the backbone of life. Why is there's like schmutz on here that's shiny? Shiny. So this is related to the lovers, number 6, in the major arcana. Nothing says I love you like charcoal. Alright, so number 8, oxygen, combustion, crystallized, related to the tower. So this is, the tower is fire, and when you have enough oxygen for the fire, it will burn the whole goddamn place down, so that's appropriate. So this is also in life. Because we have to breathe oxygen, right? There's some aliens that come in and they're like, look at these people down here, the fire breathers. Rusting your lungs. So we have 7, nitrogen, which is breath neutrality. This is also part of that life section. So on top of the oxygen that we breathe, about somewhere, I can't remember exactly, it's like somewhere between like 72 and 77% of it is nitrogen. So if you watch Mars Attacks, you're like, these people are breathing nitrogen. The Martians, they would have to have like 80 to 90% nitrogen breathing needs. It'd be like if you went up to like the tallest mountain in Aspen, Colorado, and you were having trouble breathing because there wasn't enough oxygen. But you could still breathe, you just have to be careful. Because again, most of our atmosphere that we're breathing in is actually nitrogen. So we have breath and neutrality. There's some that begins with A. Maybe it's argon. I don't remember. There's something else in there. So we have manganese, clarifying catalyst. So apparently manganese is used in glass blowing. Number 25. This is also part of that life. But you also need manganese in your bones, I think. It's like this thing in vitamins where it's like you can't absorb whatever else you need if you don't have manganese. I think it's magnesium, but I'm not sure. You definitely need manganese to absorb something else. I don't know if it's vitamin C or what. Can't remember. So we have another life one here. Rubidium, living in the moment. I'm not really sure what rubidium does, but I think they do put that in vitamins. Little hummingbird here. 37. 37. There's magnesium. It's for your bones. Skeleton. A couple of these cards are sort of sideways. This one could be lying down, but a couple of these cards are this way because of the way that the picture space is oriented. So you have skeleton and skin. It's related to 13, the death card. And this is the strength section of the name of the pharaoh. Right, strong bones. Titanium, right? Titanium alloy. Titanium! So number 22, emotional convictions, related to number 8, the strength card. I'm not sure what this picture means in terms of titanium. It looks like a close-up of a painting. So they're probably looking at titanium white. You know, like things are black or white. It's like I'm strong in my convictions, that kind of thing. So yeah, they must be talking about paint here with these close-up of these lips. So we have cobalt. Cobalt blue. Evil spirit or radiotherapy. So I think cobalt can be toxic in large amounts. I think you have to be careful when you're making cobalt glass. This evil spirit thing, it comes from one of the fae, one of the species of fae. It's called kobold, and that's where the name cobalt comes from, because they'd be digging for these blue rocks in the mines. And you know, they could be kind of cantankerous. So I think that's where that evil spirit energy comes from. And then radiotherapy, you can have radiation, but you can also, to help something, but you can also fry yourself on it too. So it's and it's the thing too, like there's certain medicinal plants that can help you, but if you use them wrong or you take too much, it can be poison as well. Like it has to be prepared a certain way. So 27. And then another pharaoh strength card. We have barium. Little barium rosettes here. Looking like little turds or something. So we have roses and thorns and wisdom. And we're looking at number 17, the star. Barium. Little rosettes. Osmium, endurance. This is also part of that strength. So we have what's ostensibly the Great Pyramid here. It could be any pyramid, but it looks like it's probably the Great one. So this is enduring. It's been there for a heckin' long time. And it's earthquake proof, so that's helpful. Osmium. I believe osmium is part of your bones too, but I think so. Like osteoporosis, that's where that comes from. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So we have strength. So now we're into the metaphysical world cards, and we have chaos section here. So you have hydrogen, and it says building blocks, and it's related to the magician. And we have this spiral galaxy here, right? Hydrogen. We have fluorine. It says paranoia, the hanged man, number 12. We have a situation room here. This is clearly like a 3D, like CAD rendered or Photoshop or whatever. So metaphysical world chaos. Fluorine is supposed to help with your teeth and stuff, but it can also be a poison if you have too much of it. Then we have chlorine. Same deal here. Is that 16? No, that's 9. Okay, so this is like one rung up in that group. Metaphysical world chaos. Chaos and order and magic. So chlorine. So we have some green fireworks here. Care of chlorine. 35 bromine. Corrosion. Physical world chaos. We have this gnarly looking rusty pipe here. $92 uranium. So you have a bomb here. Nuclear bomb. So the uranium-235 / 237. Balance of power. Metaphysical world chaos. Number 92. It's kind of like a sperm whale, only not as nice. Phosphorus, 15. So this is part of the section of the metaphysical world called Hell. It says fork in the road or judgment. 20. What's interesting is that phosphorus is necessary to light a match, and then judgment is a card of fire, even though it's ruled by Pluto. Alright. So this is, you know, are you done with this path? Are you going this way? That kind of thing. Sulfur, 16. Chemical pollution related to the devil. Now, if you think of that, if you think of hell, if you think of the underworld where the devil lives, there's going to be, you think of like sulfur jets and caves and stuff like that. So we have pollution. The devil. Then we have yttrium, night vision, which I'm assuming they use yttrium to make night vision goggles because of this, but I'm not, I'd have to look it up. So we have a glowing energy here for yttrium, number 39, also in that hell sector. And then we have cadmium, so this is related to cadmium, which we can make red and yellow out of for paints. This is also a digitally rendered thing here. So we've got paintbrushes, and I guess that's raw materials back there, and little piles of pigment and a mortar and pestle. So we have energy, right? Those are sort of like the building blocks. Cadmium. And then also in this hell section we have mercury, number 80. And we're looking at some electric craters here on Mercury. Mutability and quicksilver. Quicksilver is the old name for mercury. And now we've gone out of hell and we're now in metaphysical world void. So we've got vanadium, and we've got a flashlight here, and we have the seeker. So we have the hermit, number 9. I'm guessing they use vanadium in flashlights, because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense to have it there. It might be like what's coating the inner part here, because vanadium, I remember, is like a silver kind of color. So we have nickel, which is also part of the void. It says the cost of living. So we have a buffalo head nickel here. Or buffalo nickel, rather. Cesium, this is also part of that void. Basis of time, right? So they use, this is an atomic clock. They use cesium to measure the speed of light. And that's what they use to measure our calendars with now, is a cesium clock. So the basis of time. And then also with this void we have cerium. So we have Ceres and Prometheus. And we have some cereals back here. there's this match here, which I'm guessing is representing Prometheus, because he gave man fire. And then whatever this symbol is, which might be Lilith, but it looks backwards, so I'm not quite sure. I might have looked that up once, but I don't remember what it is now. So we have cerium. And now we have 82, which is lead. So we have shielding and Saturn. Not quite sure what lead has to do with this planet Saturn. But they do use lead for shielding. Like you're not like a, you know, like a lead-lined building, and purportedly psychics can't see through lead, although I think that's BS. Because I could do it fine. So this is also part of the void. And then we have... Now we've moved on to the physical world, which is body. Or at least this section is body. There's 3 different sections. So we're in the physical world, and the first section of this suit is called body. And here we have a horse body, and it's called soundness, potassium. Right? So think of bananas, think of, you know, energy and strength. If you drink too much Coca-Cola, it'll leach the potassium out of your bones. If you're not taking enough potassium when you're pregnant, the fetus is going to suck the potassium out of your bones, and then it'll be all soggy. That kind of thing. And then we have calcium, part of the body here. We have female energy, and it's relating to the Empress. Which is number 3. So you have number 20 for calcium. Right, milk, it does the body good. Calcium. Unless you're lactose intolerant, and then not so much. So you have zinc, number 30, also relating to the physical body. And we have male energy here, relating to the Emperor. And then we have, it's very clearly a male statue torso. Rude. How very masculine for somebody to be revving their engine outside. Ain't gonna make your statue bigger, buddy. Priapism. Okay, so here we have 38 strontium, which is also part of this body section. It's called luminescent self. So I'm guessing strontium probably glows, and this person looks exactly like the aliens in Cocoon when they take off their human disguise. That's what they look like. Glowing body. Alright, so we're still in the body, and now we have molybdenum, number 42. So it's the universal body, and I have not gotten this card very much. And I don't remember that much about molybdenum either. I feel like it has to, it's like in volcanoes, but I'm not sure. I could be making that up. Alright, so now we're in ornament in the physical world. So these are pretty. So we have beryllium, true gem and honesty. Sparkly. And we have chromium, charme, superficial flash. And then we have ornament, zirconium, self-deception. So zirconium, if you think cubic zirconium, people use it in place of diamonds. And it's not a real diamond. And to illustrate that, they put in gems here that are not real gems. They rendered them on the computer. And I think zirconium gems can be dyed, or they can be made in different colors. I don't know. But that's why it's self-deception. So this is also ornament. This is niobium. It says rites of passage. So these are piercings. Took me a while to figure that out. And I think it's if they're hypoallergenic, but I'm not sure. But they do use niobium for those like face piercings. And also rites of passage. A lot of the time rites of passage will include like scarification, piercing, and other types of body mods. So we're still in ornament. We have radium here, dangerous beauty. Okay. So you think of radium, right? You think radiation, but you also think of Marie Curie, and it was toxic, and even though it was enchanting and pretty and you know, it's like nuclear waste, right? It's decaying and it's releasing photons, but it can kill you. Okay. Just like a jellyfish, it's beautiful, but it can, one bite from a 2 centimeter or like a 1 centimeter jellyfish will take you out. Right. So we're in physical world structure now. So we have aluminum, so we have new technology. Phil Brady. We have scandium, which is future technology. So I'm not quite sure what scandium does, but we have this like Mandelbrot thing here. Groovy. We have iron, old technology relating to Mars, and it's being attached to the chariot number 7. So we know the Iron Age, and we know when steel came about, which is iron-based. And then we have physical world structure. We have tin, so we have Jupiter energy here for some reason. And it says the preserver. So there's this mince, this unbranded mince tin, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because it's preservative, right? I'm going to put it in a tin. Tin of meat for a cat. And lastly, but not least, in my hand, we have tungsten number 74. So it's the ability to hold an edge. Right? You think of like tungsten carbide, diamond-tipped saws and stuff, but we have tungsten here. Also part of that structure. So it's sort of like industrial revolution kind of stuff. So there's those 60 cards here. How I use them sort of depends whether I'm doing a tiling, like a grid of these, or if I'm just getting a couple. So you can see they're fairly thin. They could easily be full, like creased. I try to be careful with them. Because I have only got, I can't just go out and get a new one that easily. But they're pretty good size to hold in the hand. I have fairly large hands for a lady person, so they're not that bad for me. But even if you had little teeny hands, I think you would still find them fairly easy to span. Because if I stretched way out, like some decks are pretty big even for me. And this isn't a stretch at all. So I think even if you have small hands, that it would be pretty good. So they do have a paper core. You do have to mind the edges. They're a little bit harder for me to shuffle than my thicker heart-shaped cards, because these tend to slide. They want to be round, but they're not. So they tend to slide a little bit. Let me focus this back down to the table. Nope. They tend to slide out of hexagon, and I have to kind of tap them back into shape, and that puts some stress on the corners. So if I use these enough, they might end up being a little bit more round. But the general idea is that they're hexagonal. And I tend to get them in order again. I'll straighten up, and then I'll just kind of get them on the flat side and get them back in there. So they're not that hard to shuffle, and you don't have to worry about like wearing them out on one edge because they tend to spin around. If they got too bent like upwards like that, just turn them over and shuffle them on the other side. Come on. There we go. Sometimes I'll take these inverted. It's a little bit harder because when you're looking at them from the back, as soon as you turn it, it looks the same. I think they might be directional, but it also might just be, it might be like a triangle that's just been mirrored all the way around. So I don't think they're directional on the back. And then again, like when I'm doing them like this, it's okay for a minute while I'm shuffling them in, but if it gets too, like if I feel too many points and it's not sliding as easily, then I gotta tap them down again. They're very easy to use, and I find that it's not really that necessary to read the pamphlet unless you want to. And because of the multi-layered symbolism of the elements and the images, and at least the Egyptian mythology, if not other ones, kind of poked in there, there's a lot that can be pulled out of these cards. Right, you've got the history of elemental science, chemistry, like traditional meanings and usages of these particular elements, right? Because I've got sulfur here. You think of like Rome and sulfur baths and caves and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things that can be pulled from them. And again, you can use these suit names down here. You can use the major arcana when they come up. You can use these descriptors like paranoia and cost of living and flight to safety if you want to. All these, like each line of text becomes an option, right? You can even use the elemental numbers. You can say like, oh, 2, that's kind of like the high priestess, even if it doesn't say that down here, right? 28, ooh, that makes me think of 10, which is the wheel. But if I'm looking at a coin, that makes me think of pentacles, so it could be 10 pentacles. You know, so any of those things are possible. So there's a lot of different ways that these cards can be read. And that's kind of the excitement of having them. Just aside from having, you know, a really intense green deck that is a different shape. You know, because it's fun to have different shapes of cards, instead of just all of them being rectangular, right? So I've got heart-shaped ones, I've got a round deck now, and I've got the hexagons. And at some point, I'd like to get an oval deck. I've seen an oval deck of at least 1 or 2 different things. And I think I want to get the Tarot of the Cloisters, and I believe that one's round as well. So it's just it's a nice little deck. I think it's worth the money. Again, even if you spend extra to get 3 of them. I am totally not mad about that. I think it's, given how difficult it is to self-publish, it's perfectly fine by me, because I did not feel, I felt like it was fair. The shipping was quick. So I was pleased with this deck, and I found it very useful. I feel like it tends to skew a little bit more towards earth energy, but that's not always the case. Okay. Like if you were reading for like Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, or if there was something going on with the planets that are earthbound, but whatever. So if you want to get a personal reading and you'd like to have these cards read for you, you can request. You can request to have these in your reading. So the list of readings that I offer and how much they cost is going to be down below. I offer Help Me, I Can't Afford a Reading for $9, and then the other ones are, I think there's one that's like $100, but most of them are less than that. So they're in that range. And I have a playlist with samples of those readings. If you found this helpful or useful or interesting, consider donating. I don't know why people are shooting. Like noise, assault, anger today. So I have PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo if you want to throw a couple bucks at me. And then I have coloring books, dark poetry, merch and prints, and actual art items for sale, like stuff you can hold in your hands. So if you go to my Etsy shop, you can use coupon code 3star17. You get 17% off. I've got all kinds of stuff on there. Some of these foam lotuses, and a couple of stuffed animals, and my chapbook packs, which is basically like a few cards that could be a reading. It's art and writing and numbers if you can read my handwriting. So that's available. I've got social media, you can come hang out with me. So my email and all of this stuff is all through my linktree, linktr.ee/CATtheMinion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab. And I'll pick up this review series when the decks that I have are ready to be reviewed. So I've got 2 left to review, and it's going to be a little bit, and then it's going to be a wait until I get more decks that I use and then do them. But in the meantime, you can watch the reviews that I have just to see what they look like and how I use them. Alright, bye!